Okay, guys, happy Friday. Today we are doing our last new concept before your CBA on Tuesday. So today we're going to do measurement conversion. So one piece of measurement conversion is changing Fahrenheit to Celsius. So here is our formula. It says Fahrenheit is equal to 9/5 of the temperature in Celsius plus 32 degrees, okay? So since it's plus 32 degrees, you know that the Fahrenheit temperature is always going to be greater than the Celsius temperature. Now you will always be given the formula, so it's not something that you have to memorize. So let's do this first example together. It says use the formula to convert 25 degrees Celsius to Fahrenheit. So you're always going to be given the Celsius, and all you're going to do is plug it in for C. Okay, so there's two ways to go about solving this problem. Okay, so I'm going to write it with the Celsius in there. So Fahrenheit equals 9/5 Celsius, so times 25 plus 32. So don't forget your plus 32. So one option here is I see a fraction, and I know a lot of you guys don't like fractions, so your instinct is going to be to change it to a decimal. That's perfectly fine. So let's go ahead over here and change 9/5 to a decimal. So to change it to a decimal, I'm going to do top in, bottom out. So 9 divided by 5. 5 goes into 9 one time. 9 minus 5 is 4. Put a decimal and a 0. Put my decimal up top. So 5 goes into 48 times. Okay, so now I can rewrite my formula as F equals 1.8 times 25 plus 32. Okay, so 1.8 times 25. So I'm going to go out here and do 25 times 1.8. 5 times 8 is 40. 2 times 8 is 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Second row, put a 0. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 2 is 2. Now I add up my two rows. 0 plus 0 is 0. 5 plus 0 is 5. 2 plus 2 is 4. One number to the right of the decimal, so one number to the right of the decimal. So these two equaled 45. Now no is probably always going to have an answer choice with 45, but don't forget to add your 32. Always add your 32. So 45 plus 32. 5 plus 2 is 7. 4 plus 3 is 7. So it's saying it's 77 degrees Fahrenheit. So 25 degrees Celsius is the same as 77 degrees Fahrenheit. So that is one way to do it. And know that it's always going to be 9/5 times your temperature. So it's always going to be 1.8 times whatever temperature they give you. Now another way of doing it that's actually easier, I know you guys don't like fractions, but it's actually easier, is to rewrite 25 degrees as a fraction. So if I do 9/5 times, I'm going to change it to a fraction, so I'm going to put a 1 under it because it's a whole number, plus 32. Okay? So here I just multiply the fractions. And if you remember back to when we learned how to multiply fractions, there's that trick. So the trick is that if there's a number in the diagonal that can both be divided by the same number, then you can simplify it diagonally. So 5 and 25 are both divisible by 5. So 25 divided by 5 is 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1. So every time that you guys have a problem like this, the temperature will be divisible by 5. You will always be able to cancel it. Anytime we give you a problem in math or on the STAR test or on the CBA, you will always be able to cancel it by dividing by 5. So now I just do 9 times 5 is 45 over 1, which is just 45, plus 32. So again, it's 77 degrees Fahrenheit. So here I saved all of that multiplication, the division, because I kept it in fraction form and I multiplied. All right, so at this point, as a class, we're going to go ahead and work on some practice problems for Fahrenheit to Celsius. Okay, so if you're going to go ahead and do the practice problems, this is your first one. So use the formula F equals 9/5 C plus 32 to convert 35 degrees Celsius to Fahrenheit. So all we're doing, remember, is we are taking our temperature in degrees Celsius and plugging it in for C. So go ahead and press pause and try the problem on your own. Alright, so go ahead and check your work. I did work it out both ways, so whichever way is your preference, but 35 degrees Celsius is equal to 95 degrees Fahrenheit. So now let's look at the next one. So the next one is 40 degrees. So again, press pause and go ahead and work it out. Alright, so this time I only worked it out as a fraction because that's how I prefer to do it, to cancel. And I got 104 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, go ahead and do this last one on your own. Okay, and check your work once more. So I got 59 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and work on measurement conversions. So for measurement conversions, you have 2 steps. So our first step is going to be to write a word ratio. And our second step is to find the cross products and solve. Okay, so we're back on our notes, and like I said, our steps are for measurement conversion, to write a word ratio and find your cross products and solve. So with measurement conversions, we're saying maybe one person measured something in inches and another person measured in feet. So we're saying like how many inches each foot is, right? So each foot is 12 inches. Well, sometimes we go back and forth between different types of measurements. Maybe a recipe calls for ounces, but you only have a measuring cup. So these are the types of scenarios that we would use measurement conversion. So let's look at our first example together. It says Marla bought 57 liters of milk throughout the whole year. How many gallons of milk did she buy? Okay, so it's asking for how many gallons of milk. And it's saying she bought 57 liters. And here it's telling us that we have 1 gallon equals 3.8 liters. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to look at, all right, what types of units are there? What 2 types of units are we talking about? So we're talking about liters and gallons, right? So we're going to start with our word ratio. And it does not matter anymore which one is on top and which one is on the bottom as long as you are consistent. Okay, so I decided to put liters on top and gallons on the bottom. And it is telling me here that I have 57 liters. Throughout the whole year. How many gallons is that? I don't know how many gallons that is, so I'm going to put X in its place. So on this side of the ratio are things that are equivalent. So we're saying 57 liters is equal to some amount of gallons that we don't know. What we do know is that 1 gallon is equal to 3.8 liters. So since gallons is on the bottom, I have to keep gallons on the bottom together. So 1 gallon is equal to 3.8 liters. So liters is on top, so I'm going to put 3.8 liters, okay? So then when we talk about cross product, maybe in 6th grade you guys called it butterfly, but it's cross product. We're big boys and girls now. So cross product is where you multiply diagonally. So this first diagonal, I always like to multiply mine with my variable in it, and you can use any variable you'd like, but I always like to use x. So I'm going to do 3.8x. 3.8 times x. And then my other insufficient memory space. Okay. My other diagonal says 1 times 57. So 1 times 57 is just going to be 57. So now I want to get x by itself. So to do that, I'm saying 30.8 times a number equals 57. Well, to get x by itself, I need to get rid of 3.8. So I have to do the opposite operation. So the opposite of multiply is to divide. So you always divide by whatever is there with x. So I'm going to divide 57 by 3.8. So top in, bottom out. Alright, if I have a decimal here, I need to move it. Do the same thing on the inside. Put it on top. Okay, 38 goes into 57 one time. 38, subtract, borrow, 4, 17, 8, 9 plus 8, 4 minus 3 is 1, so 190. Let's see. I don't know if it's times 5 or 6. So let's try it. 38 times 5. 5 times 8 is 40. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Oh, wow. Awesome. 19. So 5 times 38 is 190. Okay. So now since we canceled this out, x is what's left on this side. And on the other side is 15. Now, is it liters or gallons? So it's here in the x location. So the bottom is all gallons. So 15 gallons. So it told us that she bought 57 liters of milk throughout the year, which is equal to the same thing as buying 15 gallons. Okay, let's try the next problem. It says Brandon has to buy 25 gallons of fuel to power his car for the next trip. However, the station only measures in liters. How much fuel in liters must he buy? So we're talking about liters and gallons, okay? So we're going to use the same ratio from up here. It already told us this is a constant, like 1 gallon is always equal to 3.8 liters. So we're going to talk about gallons and liters again. I'm just going to put gallons on top this time. Alright, so I know up there that 1 gallon is equal to 3.8 liters. So then we're saying that's equal to, let's see, he has to buy 25 gallons. So 25 gallons, gallons is on top. So I'm going to put 25 gallons up top. And then X is going to hold my spot. So yet again, you're going to do your cross product. So 1 times X is X. And then on the other side, you're going to do 25 times 3.8. And this time we don't have to divide because X is by itself. So go ahead and pause and do that now. Okay, so when I multiplied, I got 95. And since it's on the bottom, my answer is in liters. So real quick, I just want to help you set this one up and you can solve it on your own. So Justine and Cindy were on a road trip to see their sister Priscilla, who lives 3.5 miles away. 1 mile is approximately equal to 1,609 meters. How many meters? So we're talking about miles and meters. So it's telling me what is equal. It says 1 mile. So 1 mile is equal to 1,609 meters. She lives 3.5 miles away. So miles stays on top. So 3.5 miles. And we do not know. We want to know how many meters would they travel to see her. So do your cross product, press pause, and solve. All right, I got 56,315 meters.